Hello and welcome back. Houndawg here, with you in another historical aircraft from the past 100 years of U.S. Navy carrier aviation. Today is 28 December 1960, and we are flying the most famous United States fighter aircraft of all time, the McDonnell F-4 Phantom II.
Radio check, 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1, radio check. McDonnell F-4 Phantom development was a long evolution beginning in 1952 when McDonnell Aircraft CEO Jim McDonnell initiated an internal funded program to extend the service life of the F-3H Demon by improving performance and expanding the mission capabilities. The company developed several different Demon projects focusing on a modular design that could be fitted with a single seat or a two-seat cockpit and a nose to accommodate radars, reconnaissance cameras, 20mm cannons, or various weapons depending on the different missions. The first project used a single Wright J67 engine capable of Mach 1.69. A second concurrent project used twin Wright J65 turbojets capable of Mach 1.52. And yet, another project added two General Electric J79 engines capable of Mach 1.97. The McDonnell team decided that the twin-engine Super Demon configuration offered the best potential and built a full-size mock-up with a J79 engine mounted on the right side and a J65 on the left side. On 19 September 1953, the Navy declined McDonnell's unsolicited proposal, but encouraged the McDonnell team to rework the design into a single-seat, twin-engine, all-weather attack aircraft. In August 1954, McDonnell submitted a revised proposal for an all-weather fighter bomber with 11 external hardpoints and 4 20mm cannons, and the Navy quickly responded with a letter of intent for two prototypes and a static test aircraft. However, 7 months later, on 26 May 1955, the Navy visited the McDonnell offices to present yet an entirely new set of requirements for an all-weather twin-engine fleet defense interceptor fighter with standoff missile capability. McDonnell was instructed to remove all guns and hardpoints except for a centerline pylon for a 600-gallon fuel tank and 4 recessed troughs for Sparrow semi-active radar-homing air-to-air missiles. A new Raytheon target acquisition and tracking radar was added, along with a second seat to accommodate a weapons radar operator. On 24 June 1955, McDonnell received a contract for 18 YF-4H-1 aircraft, including 2 prototypes. 1 month later, on 25 July, the Navy again changed the requirements to carry both the Sparrow 3 missiles and infrared homing Sidewinder missiles. The contract was modified for the original ordered prototypes and 5 pre-production aircraft. At the same time, the Navy authorized Vought to build 2 prototypes of the single-seat, single-engine F-8U-3 Crusader 3 to compete with the F-4H. The F-4 was a very imposing aircraft, 63 feet long and a maximum weight of almost 63,000 pounds, but had short, stubby 45-degree swept wings, spanning just over 38 feet. It was said that the F-4 designers had put wings on a brick and added 2 General Electric J79 after burning turbojet engines with over 35,000 pounds of thrust, earning the aircraft the title, The Triumph of Thrust over Aerodynamics. The powerful J79s definitely helped, but it would require a lot of engineering innovation and maybe even some aeronautical wizardry to get the F-4 safely in the sky. Early wind tunnel testing had revealed severe stability problems, requiring the following major design changes. The engineers needed to add 5 degrees of dihedral to the wings, but this would require extensive and expensive modifications to the central titanium fuselage structure. So instead, they added 12 degrees of dihedral to the outer folding portion of the wing, thus averaging 5 degrees across the entire span and improving lateral stability. The wings were also given a distinctive dog tooth for improving control at high angles of attack. Leading edge flaps were added and drooped downward at low speeds to provide additional lift. Flaperons that only moved down were added to operate in combination with large spoilers on top of the wings to control roll. To roll right, the pilot would push the stick right, thus moving the left flaperon down and the right spoiler up. Later model F-4 flaperons could be drooped an additional 16.5 degrees for more lift at slower landing speeds. A smaller 24-inch wide flap was located between the flaperon and the fuselage. Ahead of both the leading edge and trailing edge flaps were hundreds of tiny holes where high-pressure bleed air from the engine compressors was blown over the surface to maintain boundary layer control at higher angles of attack. The all-moving tailplane, or stabilator, was given 23 degrees of anhedral droop to improve pitch control at high angles of attack. Unfortunately, this also made the F-4 extremely pitch sensitive at higher speeds and subject to pilot-induced oscillations from abrupt stick or throttle movements. Later Air Force models would add a leading edge slot to the stabilator for even more pitch control. Each air intake ramp had 12,500 holes to bleed off the slow-moving boundary layer air from the surface. Airflow splitter plates were computer-adjusted in flight to better prevent compressor stalls and optimize airflow to the engine at various speeds and angles of attack. The landing gear was beefed up to withstand extremely high sink rates up to 23 feet per second during carrier landings, while the nose strut could be extended 20 inches to increase the angle of attack for catapult launches. The first F-4H prototype made its maiden flight on 27 May 1958, taking off from Lambert St. Louis Municipal Airport with McDonnell test pilot Robert Little at the controls. The testing program quickly revealed more stability issues, including severe adverse yaw during roll maneuvers at high angles of attack, when the aircraft would roll in the opposite direction of the aileron stick input. Flight procedures were soon developed requiring the F-4 pilot to use rudder input only, with no ailerons for subsonic rolls greater than 15 degrees angle of attack. Numerous automatic control augmentation and trim systems helped the pilot fly the aircraft, but the F-4 was still susceptible to stability problems such as mock tuck, and it was impossible to recover from a flat spin. After the final factory test flight, the prototype was sent to Edwards Air Force Base along with the competing Vought F-8U Crusader III for the Navy's evaluation phase. The new Crusader proved to have a decisive advantage in maneuverability and a superior combat thrust-to-weight ratio approaching 1.0 compared to the F-4H's 0.87. However, the Navy felt that a single pilot would be overwhelmed by the missile workload, and on 17 December 1958, awarded McDonnell another contract for 24 more F-4Hs for a total order of 45 aircraft. On 3 July 1959, the F-4H was officially named Phantom II, and on 15 February 1960, carrier suitability trials were completed on the USS Independence CV-62. The Navy was anxious to showcase its new fighter, and on 6 December 1959, Navy Commander Lawrence Flint set a new world's altitude record of 98,560 feet, followed on 22 December 1961 by a recorded speed of over 1,700 miles per hour, clocked with Marine Corps Lieutenant Colonel Robert Robinson at the controls. The first operational F-4s were delivered to VF-114 in October of 1961. In 1961, Defense Secretary Robert McNamara instituted a policy to unify weapons systems across all branches of the military, ultimately resulting in new F-4 fighter bomber models for the U.S. Marine Corps and the U.S. Air Force, and making the F-4 were the first American aircraft used by all three services. The new fighter bomber could carry over 18,500 pounds of rockets, bombs, and missiles on 9 hardpoints, over 3 times the maximum load of a World War II B-17 bomber. The Marine Corps received its first F-4Bs in June 1962, and the first Air Force F-4C flew on 27 May 1963. The F-4 entered the Vietnam War on 5 August 1964 and soon became the principal air superiority fighter, as well as an important ground attack and aerial reconnaissance aircraft. What the F-4 lacked in maneuverability it more than made up with brute power and speed. Unfortunately, the war quickly highlighted the F-4's two biggest weaknesses, the lack of an internal cannon and the J-79's dark smoke trails that could be spotted from 25 miles away. The U.S. policy to restrict missile attacks without first positive visual identification proved deadly when combined with the notoriously unreliable early missiles, and often left Phantom pilots desperately wishing for a gun for both offense and defense. Later Air Force models incorporated a M61 Vulcan rotary cannon under the nose. In spite of these problems, the Phantom became the last U.S. fighter flown by pilots who attained ace status. All Phantoms in Vietnam scored a total of 150 air-to-air combat victories, with 40 Navy victories to 7 lost, 107 Air Force victories for 33 lost, and 3 Marine victories. Ground fire shot down 474 Phantoms, due primarily to SAM missiles and the Phantom's hazardous dual role as a ground attack aircraft. Originally designed as a missile-armed fleet defender, the F-4 Phantom ultimately grew into a multi-role, multi-service workhorse. During its almost 60-year career, the Phantom underwent many changes with over 32 different models used by 12 different countries. The F-4 set 15 world records for in-flight performance and achieved an impressive list of Phantom first. The Phantom was the first naval fighter with no guns and the first to identify, intercept, and destroy targets within range of its radar without having to rely on ground control. It was the first fighter in the world with operational look-down, shoot-down missile capability. It was the first fighter originally designed solely for the Carrier Navy that was also flown by the U.S. Air Force. It was the first fighter to have a computer-controlled air inlet for optimal airflow to the engines. And finally, it was the first aircraft to be flown simultaneously by both the Navy Blue Angels and the Air Force Thunderbirds flight demonstration teams. The F-4 was the most prolific American supersonic jet fighter with a total of 5,195 built over a 20-year production period. 2,874 went to the Air Force, 1,264 to the Navy and Marine Corps, and the rest to foreign military customers. Over time, the Phantom also picked up more than its share of nicknames, including Snoopy, Rhino, Double Ugly, Old Smoky, Flying Anvil, Flying Footlocker, Flying Brick, Flying Coffin, Iron Pig, Lead Sled, Big Iron Sled, St. Louis Slugger, Air Defense Diesel, and finally, the world's leading distributor of MiG parts. The F-4 was slowly phased out of military service throughout the 70s and 80s, with the introduction of the Grumman F-14 Tomcat, the General Dynamics F-16 Fighting Falcon, and McDonnell's own FA-18 Hornet and F-15 Eagle. In January of 1992, Marine Corps Squadron VMFA-112 retired the last F-4S from the inventory. The Air Force F-4 Phantoms remained in use for reconnaissance and wild weasel destruction of enemy radars during the First Gulf War, finally leaving service in 1996.